Welcome everybody to the first update on the Chi-Town Hustler here at Music City Model Works. Give you a quick rundown on what I've got done so far. I've got the frame painted. Now the frame came fully assembled as you see it. This kit's a little bit different than actually most of the funny car kits that I've put together. Usually they're at least in two pieces, and the Polar Lights kits are generally the two sides plus the cross members you have to install as well. So this kit, the frame came in one piece pretty much. I'll show you kind of, and while we're on that subject, I wanted to show you something that's kind of unique to this kit, or this car actually in real life. If you're not familiar with drag racing, as far as funny car construction, the motor's always set generally in the middle of the car, the middle of the frame rather. The driver's set pretty much straddle of the transmission housing itself in the back, pretty much close to where it would hook up to the drive shaft and then into the differential on the rear axle. John Farconis, on this trio of guys that were a part of this car, had a degree in mechanical engineering, and he felt like the car would perform better with the engine offset. So he offset the engine to the passenger side of a car, and the driver actually sets pretty much where a driver of a normal vehicle would set, to the if you're looking at the car to the right, if you're in the car to the left-hand side where a normal driver would sit. He felt like that balanced the weight better. Instead of having the driver and the bulk of the motor weight dead center in the middle, he put the weight of the motor on the right-hand side of the car and the driver's weight on the left-hand side. Now, I don't know how much Pat Minnick weighed, but it would have to be a pretty good sized guy to balance out the weight of even an aluminum funny car motor would be quite heavy. So, but it worked, and this car was very successful and had back-to-back world championships in '82 and '83 with Frank Hawley doing the driving. But at any rate, I wanted you to kind of notice that before you started saying, well, wait a minute, he's put the motor in crooked. But no, it's actually, that's the way it's supposed to be. I'll turn it upside down and show you kind of how much offset it is. It's a little easy to see from here. The driver actually sits way over here versus sitting directly behind the motor. And the other thing that does is Pat Minnick had a much better line of sight driving the car. I've never sat in a funny car engine and a funny car motor and sat behind the motor, but I would just the in-car cam shots that they do these days with today's funny cars I have watched. I mean, there's it doesn't look like there's much of a window of sight between the top of the blower or the top of the air scoop to the motor and the top of the car body itself. So pretty neat deal with the way they designed this car. The motor I put together pretty much went together flawlessly. That's another thing. If you haven't built a funny car kit, I would suggest even though this is a level 3 kit, it's a level 3 because of the amount of parts that are in it. It's not. It's probably one of the easiest funny car kits I've put together. The parts in this kit have gone together without a hitch at all. I mean, everything has made it up like it should. There's been no issues with fitment whatsoever. The only thing that I really have noticed is, and I don't know if you can see it, but I'll try to show it to you. I have this one piece of frame right here is pushed in just a little bit, and I can't tell if you can see that. is bent in just a little bit from where it was. I think it was just where it was packaged in the box, and it kind of got bent in. I've pushed on it just a little bit to mash it back out. The only thing I think that's going to cause me issues with, maybe, and I don't know that it will, I test fitted the rear axle and the wheelie bar setup on the back of the car. I haven't installed it yet, but I've test fitted it, and it's not, so far it's not been an issue as far as fitment goes for that. So I believe I'm going to be fine. So but that's kind of where we are now. The motor colors are pretty much a mix of in no specific ratio of the metallic silver, platinum, and sterling silver craft acrylics. Those three were used in different combinations, different darknesses. I used where I wanted darker colors, like more of a steel color for the transmission. I used more of the sterling silver, which is kind of a darker shade of silver, for the block as well. For the injectors and the headers, I used more of an aluminum color, which would be, I didn't use hardly any sterling silver at all. I mixed platinum and metallic silver together to get that color for the intake and the for the injectors and the headers. The fuel pump is pretty much straight hippo gray. The distributor cap, I colored just the same color as the frame, the cardinal red, and it even has a molded into the engine front. Now this is all, by the way, the distributor and this little ignition control box is molded into the engine front plate that glues onto the front of the motor. So I don't know if you can see it. This is all molded together, so you don't have a separate distributor. It had quite a bit of meat to it, so I was able to drill it out and ran my spark plug wires. Now what I'm going to do, if you're wondering why I used blue wires, I have some one-to-one pics of the car, as I said, and I wanted to build this pretty much as close as I could to what the actual car was. Now this car, these pictures of this car are pictures of a car that has been purchased and restored by, I believe the guy's name is, well, his name escapes me right now, but he has like a little museum that he has rebuilt this car, and I think he has the actual car also, but this is the car that sits in his showroom / museum, whatever. So I'm going by these pictures for my replicating the motor and the fuel lines and what have you. That's going to be my next thing to do, is once I get the fuel tank and the water tank installed, I'm going to already have my material for running the fuel lines. I'm going to run at least these two and maybe one other down here where the fuel pump is. Like I said, this kit has great details molded in. The two connections to the two fuel connections to the injectors are molded in, so I won't have to do any drilling. I'm going to use some jewelry crimp tubes for my connections for the fuel lines, and the same on the fuel pump. There's two, you probably can't see those at all because it's dark, but there are two connection points on the fuel pump. The only thing I'll have to drill will be the connections at the fuel tank itself, and that should be all the drilling I'll have to do, but I'm going to do that later. I still have some detail work to do. I'm going to do some dry brushing to bring out some of the heat stains on the blower assembly. The blower assembly, the blower in the front and the rear of the blower are covers are dull coated with Tester's dull coat to go along with this kind of brushed satin look. The actual one-to-one car, at least here in this museum piece, has a lot of chrome on it, but the pics I have of it in action on the track and in the pits back in the late 60s, early 70s were nowhere near this amount of chrome. The motor had almost absolutely no chrome on it, so that's kind of what I'm going by for the motor color. This is what I'm using for my plug routing. I tried to be as close as I could to kind of the way the plug wires lay as it sits, and I think I got pretty close, so I was pretty pleased with the way that came out. So that's kind of where we are. I got a little further ahead of myself than I meant to before I actually did an update, but this car, and man, it goes together so well. You kind of lose track of how much progress you've made. And like I said, the only thing I have left to do with the frame is install this rear axle assembly with the wheelie bars, and then I'm going to start routing my fuel lines into the motor, and then start the metal work on the inside of the body after I get the body painted. So making good progress. Like I said, this is a great kit. If you've not built a funny car, I highly recommend this kit. If I wouldn't recommend it for a first-time car builder or for a first-time modeler. If you've built cars, if you've built models before, this is great. It'll be a great kit for you. Like I said, no issues at all. So that's where we're at. I think we'll call this one finished until I talk to you again. Oh yeah, and let me thank all my subscribers. I got one short of 100, and we'll be ready to do a giveaway here in the next few days. So we're getting ready here in Nashville for some really cold weather in the next couple of days. We're getting some single-digit temperatures at night and teens for daytime highs. So I will be anchored down here at the desk and keeping warm and continuing to build. So and you guys in the Northeast, I feel so sorry for you. I know you're getting pounded with bitter cold and heavy snow and all that. I hope everybody stays safe and stays inside and stay off the roads, and take care of your family. Until I talk to you again, take care of one another. Continue to build. May God bless you and your family, and we'll talk to you later.